Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to discuss very important topic, that is Digital Personal Data Protection Act. This is very important for the upcoming prelims exam as well as a mains exam. Let's discuss uh, properly this topic. So what is this act is for? Okay, now everything is getting digitalized. You are entering lots and lots of data online through various social media website and also through e-commerce platform. Now it is important to maintain proper safety and security of the data and also properly process the data so that it is useful for you only. If if your data is present online and if I'm a business person, I can process the data and come up with the products that are helpful to you, then it is beneficial for you, right? Ease of living will be improved. And for me also, I can come up with a different types of the business things, innovations, and for me also my business will improve and overall the GDP will also improve. And government can also come up with use this data and come up with various kinds of benefits. Like government has come up with kind of health stack. Government, they are planning to this for this kind of health stack where all the health related information of the people, citizens are digitized so that better services can be provided to the citizens. So in this way, it is a win-win situation for the all if this data is properly accessed, properly stored, and security is maintained. So in order to do all these things and also protect your privacy when your data, so that your data is not getting misused, this act has been introduced. Hope you guys got the essence of this. So initially in the 2017, BN Sri Krishna committee was appointed to give the proper recommendation on this. So various acts, various bills were introduced, but they were not passed. Finally, this act was passed in the 2023. Let's see the provisions. So before getting into the act, we need to know where it is applicable. This act is applicable on the digital data when it is processed in the India, even if it is utilized outside India, but those products are sold within India, even then the act will be applicable. Okay, even if it is taken in the offline form, later on, if you are getting it is digitalized, then also it is applicable. So in these three cases, it is applicable. It is not applicable when you are processing data for personal purposes and you yourself has made the data publicly available on Instagram, on Facebook. You have mentioned you are single, your phone number. So you cannot say my data has been utilized. Okay, in these cases, it is applicable. Now, before getting into the various features, let's understand what is this data fiduciary. Data fiduciary means those people who are collecting and storing, processing your data. Like say the Amazon, Flipkart, these guys are utilizing your data, storing your data, processing the data. And you are the person who is giving the data and you are called the data principals. So this act, the prime essence of this act is three things: obligations of the data fiduciaries, rights and duties of the data principals, and financial penalties in case it is breached. Okay, so these are the important points that you need to know, and this can be asked for the prelims. Before getting into the other provisions, let us understand this briefly. This is not required, but having an idea is important. What are these rights and responsibilities? Okay, see here. So certain rights that you have is you can access your personal data. You yourself have given the consent. Later on, you can withdraw the consent. You can also ask the data fiduciary to change the whatever the information that you have given. If you find any kind of problems, you can object and you can also go for the grievance redressal. So these are the certain rights that have been given to you. And what are the your duties? You should give the proper data, right authenticated data. You should not file frivolous or false complaints. You should also follow certain kinds of the laws. So these are the rights and responsibilities of the data principals. Then what are the rights and responsibilities of the data fiduciary? So they should make sure that data is properly secured. If there is any data breach is happening, they should inform it to the data protection board. And if I withdraw my consent, then the data should be properly erased. And I should utilize the data fiduciary should utilize the data only for which consent is provided. It should not use the data for the other purposes. So it should check any kinds of misuse. And there are certain data fiduciaries which store huge amount of the data, and they are called the significant data fiduciaries. And they should also do additional responsibilities like data protection impact assessment, and they should also appoint data auditor, and they should also uh, have the higher degree of the data protection. Okay, these are the certain things that they should do. Okay, let's move back to the act. Okay, so significant data fiduciary. This can be asked in the prelims. What is the significant data fiduciary? So, what are the factors based on which it can be considered as significant data fiduciary? If there is a potential, if their data misuse or data breach has a potential impact on sovereignty and integrity, risk to the electoral democracy, security, public order, then that particular data fiduciary can be considered as a significant data fiduciary, and they must appoint the data protection officer. Okay, not every data fiduciary, only significant data fiduciary should appoint the data protection officer in India, not everywhere. Okay, there they have to establish. Okay, so this is the important point that you need to remember. And this act also talks about protection of the personal data of the children. First, parent should give the consent to utilize their children's data, and this data should be used in a way that is not detrimental to the well-being of the children. Let's say I have utilized the data, okay, in this in anywhere in India, let's say in the UP, in the Delhi, this is the percentage of the children that is present there and in this age group, and I come up with some kind of products that is not suitable for the children. Okay, in that way, that is detrimental to the well-being of the children, should not be utilized. Okay, the data, and certain exemptions has been given. Okay, I can utilize this data in certain cases. Let's say you for the medical emergency, some accident has happened. Now I can utilize your medical history without your consent for your medical emergency purposes, or government to come up with proper public policy, to come up with proper schemes, or for some security purposes, public order purposes, can utilize your data, and for the research purposes, and also for judicial purposes, legal purposes. Okay, in some kinds of have this idea. Okay, in some kind of approval or demerger data. So in this kind investigation, so certain exemptions are provided where this act is not applicable. Okay, we have also spoken about the data protection board, which may ensure that this act is properly followed, and also gives the guidelines to the government to ensure the proper data security. So if you have any grievance issues, so first you will go to the data fiduciary, and from the data fiduciary you will go to the data protection board, and from there, if you still have the issues, then you will go for the TDSAT. It is a appellate tribunal. Okay, so and also this data protection board, the members are appointed by the central government for 2 years. This is also very important point. 2 years is also important point. This appellate tribunal is also very important point. Now, what is the significance of this thing? So this is the first time the act has come up with a simplified law. Okay, this thing can also be used in the GS4. Simplification of the laws. It is important for the following of these laws. Okay, simple, accessible, rational, and actionable law. Plain language. And first time, instead of he in the act, she was used. That means, okay, if he has any grievances, he can go to the data fiduciary, grievance redressal officer. Instead of using in this way, the act uses she can approach the data fiduciary, she can approach the uh, data protection board. In this way, they are trying to break the gender stereotyping. Okay, this also promotes the equality. That is a very good thing. First time the act has used this thing. So whatever the perception that is there, it is trying to break those perceptions with this kind of small things, and trying to bring the gender equality. Use this thing in the SA and the GS4. Okay, so by doing this thing, ease of doing business will be improved, innovation will be improved, and government can also come up with the new kinds of schemes. With this, good governance will also be improved, and the security of the India will also be protected. However, there are certain key concerns. What are the key concerns? This is important for your mains. You can ignore, but if you are in a hurry, you can skip this video, or if you have the time, you can still continue it. So, what are the key issues? The key issues is those provisions, those exemptions that are that were given, they are very big. Okay, and they are also vague. So in the premise of the national security, government can utilize your data without your consent. So the people fear. Okay, recently in the Telangana, phone tapping has happened by some police officers. There was a misuse of data. So, and also opposition parties might fear, okay, the government can misuse their data so that to curb the opposition. So these kind of fears are there, and it may also, the people also fear it can violate the fundamental right to the privacy. Okay. And there are also fears that whatever the data protection board that is there, here the people are appointed for 2 years, and this 2 year term is very short term, and government can also influence the people present over there. Okay, and also the act says there is the fee, whatever the data that was gathered, it should not be utilized in a manner that is a detrimental to the children. But what constitutes to be detrimental, it is not clearly defined. And also the act does not give the provision of right to be forgotten, which is present in the GDPR Act, okay, which is considered to be a most strongest act for the protection of the data. or data privacy. Okay, and also this act does not talk about any kind of compensation by misusing of data. If say Amazon has misused data, so what kind of compensation you may get? Okay, such kind of provisions are not there. Earlier there used to be such provision under the section 43 of the IT Act, but this was removed. And also the redressal grievance redressal process, first you have to go to this data fiduciary, and there from there to data protection board, and then TD-SAT. This is a long-term lengthy process, so that is also being criticized. And also your data can also be sent outside. Once it is sent outside after the cross border sending of the data, there is no guarantee that your data is in a safe and secure hands. Again, that is also not clear how it is ensured. Okay, once the data is transferred outside India, it can also be transferred outside India except to the countries notified by the central government. Okay, to all the other places data can be sent. Okay, so that is also another point of concern. And another important point of the concern is this through this act, government has also modified the right to information. Through right to information, earlier you can get also information of the government officials' salaries and their assets and the liabilities. If the person find the mismatch between assets and liabilities and also salaries, low salaries but higher assets are very high in nature, people used to file complaints against them. How the people got such a level of assets with the low salaries? Now this data will not be provided because they are private data and there is a data privacy, but people fear that this can be misused by the people who are corrupt. So these are the concerns of the act. Okay, so I hope this current affair module has helped you. So in the conclusion, you will talk about how this act can be improved and better conditions can be brought to the people. Okay guys, take care, bye bye. And this PDF will be shared on Telegram. Like, share and subscribe.